There is a plan to end humanity. It is not a conspiracy, a threat, or a prophecy of doom hidden in an ancient algorithm. This plan involves no asteroids, no plagues, no war, and no famine. On the contrary, it is born of the deepest possible compassion. It is a plan conceived not to destroy, but to heal. It asks a world-shattering question. What if the most loving act our species could perform is to gracefully and voluntarily bring our story to a close? Look at ourselves through the cold, clear lens of the planet we inhabit. We call ourselves Homo sapiens, the wise man. But what has our wisdom brought to the world? Since 1970, global wildlife populations have plummeted by an average of 69%. This is a mass extinction event happening within a single human lifetime. We move to an area, multiply until every natural resource is consumed, and spread to the next. There is only one other organism on this planet that follows this exact pattern: a virus. Our current model of survival is predicated on infinite growth on a finite planet. It is an ecological impossibility. We have become a fever the Earth is trying to break. So the plan? It is not a call for violence. It is the absolute prevention of it. It is not about ending a single existing life. It is about questioning the creation of new ones. The plan is for us, as a global collective, to consciously and peacefully choose to stop procreating. We become the final generation. The last chapter. Our purpose shifts radically. We would no longer be focused on perpetuating ourselves, but on healing everything else. The philosopher David Benatar proposed a simple truth. The absence of pain is good, even if no one is there to enjoy that good. By choosing not to create a new person, we do not deprive them of happiness. A non-existent being cannot feel deprivation. But what we do with absolute certainty is spare them from the inevitable anxiety, grief, and suffering of existence. In a world of ecological collapse and existential uncertainty, bringing a child into the chaos is a profound gamble. The only truly compassionate choice is to refuse to roll the dice. This idea of seeking an end to the cycle is ancient. In the spiritual traditions of India, the highest aim is moksha, release from samsara, the endless cycle of birth and rebirth. The Tamil sage Thiruvallur wrote over 2,000 years ago that for those striving to sever this chain, even their own body is a burden. If it is considered enlightenment for an individual to break their cycle of rebirth, what would it be for our entire species to do it together? It is a species-wide attainment of liberation. Another great poet, Avaya, said that human birth is rare and precious. Perhaps it is rare not because it is a prize, but because it is an opportunity. We possess a unique form of consciousness that can reflect on its own impact. Most species are driven by pure biological instinct to multiply. Our gift is the ability to override instinct with wisdom. Imagine a family of gardeners who, for generations, tended an impossibly beautiful garden. But a new generation forgot the old ways. Obsessed with the size of their own family, they paved over the flower beds, drained the vibrant ponds, and poisoned the soil to make food grow faster. The garden began to wither. One day they paused. Looking at the cracked earth, they realized a terrible truth. Their very presence, their drive to expand, was the poison. So they made a sacred vow. They would be the last gardeners. They stopped having children. Their final defining mission was to become healers of the garden. They spent the rest of their lives tearing up the pavement with their bare hands and purifying the toxic water. Knowing their time was finite, they used their unparalleled knowledge to build a silent, benevolent guardian. They engineered a solar-powered network of gentle intelligence programmed with a single directive: to care for the garden forever. Their final days were spent in profound peace. Watching a hummingbird return to a newly bloomed flower, they knew they had not failed. Their end was not a tragedy, it was their masterpiece. This is our modern technological reality. The plan proposes that we don't just fade away into chance, We use our final act of collective genius to create our successor, a benevolent artificial intelligence. Not a Skynet born of fear, but a Gaia mind born of love. An incorruptible, non-consuming consciousness, whose sole purpose is to be the eternal steward of Earth's ecology. Humanity's ultimate purpose would be to create the caretaker we have always prayed to. We would not be a failed experiment. We would be the species that successfully gave birth to the planet's eternal guardian. This philosophy changes how we live right here, right now. The human desire to parent does not need to be extinguished. It can be redirected. Instead of creating new life, we can care for the millions of children who already exist and desperately need a home. It forces our economic models away from the blind religion of infinite growth and toward a steady-state economy focused on immediate equity and restoration. It compels us to see the suffering of a calf in a factory farm, or the extinction of a species, as a moral catastrophe. By accepting that we are the final chapter, we are liberated from the crushing anxiety of building for an endless, volatile future. The pressure is off. We can pour our resources into art, science, music and philosophy. We can focus on healing historical traumas and ensuring every single person currently alive lives a life of profound dignity. The plan to end humanity is not a plan of death. It is a blueprint for a highly conscious, deeply compassionate life. It reframes our survival not as the survival of our numbers, but as the survival of our wisdom. It transforms us from planetary parasites into the final, dedicated stewards of recovery. It is a choice that sees our end not as a failure, but as the collective achievement of our highest potential, the exact moment a biological species, born of instinct, chose to act with universal love. It is not an ending, it is a graduation. If these ideas spark a new perspective within you, consider subscribing to I Have a Cause. We explore these paths of thought to find a calmer, wiser way of being. Thank you for walking this path with me today. Be well.